Hey people, I should have started this video a little bit earlier, but I've been having problems getting my timing right on this short block Chevrolet. Never could bring it in, so I decided to pull the valve covers off, both sides, fire it up, let it run, see what the rocker arms were doing. Lo and behold, cylinder number 4, the exhaust rocker arm was not moving. The rest of them were great all the way around. So I pulled the rocker arm off and I pulled the push rod out. Push rod's straight. I don't see anything wrong with the rocker arm. So it's got to be the lifter or the cam. Now this car's got 40,000 original miles on it, so I'm doubting it's the cam. I'm going to try for a lifter. Looks like I might have to pull the intake. Some engines you can pull the lifter out and you can slide it to the back of the motor and pull it up through the distributor hole. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that with this engine. So it's fixing to get deep. All right, I've removed the distributor. I'm just going to tie this out of the way with a zip tie or something. I've unhooked all my vacuum lines. I've marked them, taped them off, so I know which one's which. I've unhooked the radiator hose. This heater hose is gone. Fuel line is disconnected. I took a vacuum cleaner and vacuumed all the way around, cleaned everything up, disconnected all my accelerator linkage. Now I'm getting ready to break all the intake bolts. I want to pull the intake off, see if I can get to the valves from the inside and pull them out that way. The lifters, I mean. All right, I've got all the bolts out of the intake. Everything's disconnected. The only thing left to do is get my pry bar under it and break it loose. A little bit tough to get off. All right. All right, I've got the intake off. I used a magnet to pick up on this lifter, but it would barely come out of the hole. I managed to get a set of vice grips on it, and I picked it up probably about a ½ an inch. I still can't get it to come out of there. I'm wiggling it. I'm going to try and get underneath these pliers with my pry bar, see if I can get it the rest of the way out. It's not cooperating. That doesn't appear to be working either. I'm going to put my vice grips back on it again and see if I can continue to work it out. All right, I finally got the lifter out of there. If you can see on the top of here, this thing is deeply concave. It's almost like a soup bowl right there. So that just spells bad news for the camshaft in this motor. Looks like I need a new cam. Yay. So I've got a new camshaft kit coming, lifters, all that. I decided to go with a stock cam and take the few extra $100 I would have spent for a really nice cam, and I'm going to do away with this old stock radiator and the fan and all that stuff that was in there and put a nice 3-core aluminum radiator with the dual fan, electric fans in it. I really don't want to put any strain on the lower half of this motor. It's the original motor for this car, even though it's only got 40,000 miles on it. I don't want to rebuild it right now. All right, the shroud, the fan, and the radiator have all been removed. I need to take the water pump off. the pulley on the crankshaft, the harmonic balancer, and the timing chain cover. All right, before I get so much oil on myself that I don't want to touch my phone, I'm removing the rocker arms and the push rods one at a time. And I'm placing them. Be careful, there's a little washer inside of there, you can hang on to it. Placing them in cups. Okay, so each cup contains the rocker arm, the washer, the nut, and the push rod. The next cup will be for the exhaust valve. It'll say 8 exhaust. While the parts might look the same, actually they wear a little different. The push rods could be different lengths between exhaust and intake. So it's always a good idea to put everything back exactly where it goes. All right, this is where we are. Got all the rocker arms and push rods out. Do not have the lifters out yet. I pulled all the belts off, labeled them, hung them up on the wall. Took the 3 bolts out of the pulley and then the center bolt and removed the pulley. Next I'm going to take this water hose off, and take the water pump off. Okay, just a little snapshot of what I'm doing. Using my magnet to pick the lifter up so I can get a hold of it with these pliers. I'm not reusing these lifters, so I don't care if I scratch them up. That was cylinder 3 exhaust. I'll put it in with the parts from cylinder 3 exhaust. Then to cylinder 5 exhaust. And I'm still putting them in my cup of parts so that later I can look at them and I'll know where they came from. Cylinder 5 inlet. That's basically all I'm doing to remove the lifters. All right, the lower radiator hose came off pretty easy. This little red one, it doesn't want to come off. I mean, it's really got nowhere to go because it goes into a hard pipe right here that's bolted to the back of the AC. Now, get some more of these bolts out of here. I'm going to see if I can turn and twist the water pump once I get it unbolted and see if I can get it off of this water spout here. I know I'm using a chrome socket with an impact, but us bad boys, we live life on the edge, right? All right. Bag them and tag them. All right, I've got the water pump loose. Most of the water drained down into the pan. All right. One more part out of the way. Pretty soon there won't be anything here except 4 tires. Next thing I need to do is get a puller and get this harmonic balancer off of here. All right, now I've got my puller tool set up in the harmonic balancer, and I'm using a ratchet to pull it off. I don't want to use an impact because I don't want to mess up the threads on the puller. I ran these bolts down into the balancer about a ½ inch. I measured them to make sure they were all the same distance out to the head of the bolt before I began. And before it falls off, I'm going to put the phone down. Alright, now there is a keyway in this balancer that lines it up on the shaft, so I didn't have to do any match marks or anything. Now we're after the timing cover bolts. Alright, all the timing cover bolts are out. And as you may or may not know, this timing cover goes down inside the oil pan. So I need to drain the oil and drop the oil pan to get the timing cover off. Alright, all of the oil pan bolts are out. I had to remove the flywheel dust cover to get the two in the very back. But now we should be able to get this timing cover off. Okay. Is. Whew, what a mess. We'll get that cleaned up. Pull the oil pan off the bottom. Get it cleaned up. Alright, now that the timing cover's off, put the bolt back in the crankshaft. And I turned it clockwise until I brought my timing marks together right here. Now, according to the book, that means that I'm top dead center, compression stroke on cylinder 6. That's the easiest way for me to line up my marks when I go back together with my timing chain. Otherwise, my marks are going to be at opposing sides and more difficult for me to line up. So when I put it back together, I know that I'm top dead center compression on number 6, so I need to run it 180 and bring number 1 cylinder back up again to be top dead center compression number 1. All right, I want to show you what I'm doing here. I've got a ratchet on the crankshaft, and I put a ratchet on the camshaft. Now, I'm holding back up on the crankshaft so it doesn't move. That way I can break these bolts up here loose on the camshaft without moving my timing marks. Okay, I want to get this camera on before I get too far along. So, the book says to pull the fuel pump after we got the timing chain off. So I've done that. I pulled it back out of the way so it didn't interfere with the cam. I have to get in there and take it the rest of the way out. But I got a little anxious about getting this cam out because I wanted to look at it. So I threaded a long bolt into the end of it to help me pick up on it and spin it out. I'm moving it very slowly, and I'm feeling my way into each bearing and trying to keep it centered. When I feel it coming into the bearing, I don't pull on it very hard, I just kind of rotate it to help it pass through the bearings. Okay, now I'm at the last one and I'm touching the cooler condenser for the air conditioner. I've got it unbolted where I pulled out the radiator. So I'm just going to tilt the condenser back a little bit and see if I can get this blast bearing to pass through. Boy, it's right there too. That's it, it's out. All right, I've got my cam over here. And so this is where the distributor gear meshes. So this is the rear of the engine. This is the front of the engine. Okay, now on this 350, this is going to be cylinder number 1, cylinder number 2, cylinder number 3, and right here is going to be cylinder number 4. Now, if you can see, like here on cylinder number 2, you see how high this is, how high this is. Let's go on to number 3. See how tall this is standing up, how tall this one's standing up. Now here's cylinder 4 that I was having a problem with, that the rocker arm wasn't moving. Now this must have been the intake. Okay. And now look at, this is the high spot on cylinder number 4. It's gone. There's hardly anything left there. That should have been the high spot right there. Here's the high spot on 4 intake. Here's the high spot on 4 exhaust. Now, the rest of the cam looks great, but I can't fix that. There's no repairing that in my garage. So I've got a new cam on order. When it gets here, I'll start this whole rebuild process.